No amount of effort later in life will ever catch you up to the people who did. Things like this set a brick wall limit on how high men can reach through their individual effort, which means that even though all men can grow, learn, and improve, and their lives will be way better if they do, it's also possible for women to set their standards so high that most men will not be able to reach them within their lifetime. Also, keep in mind, the world is way more complicated now than it's ever been before. Today, you have to navigate bloated bureaucracies, office politics, HR rules, complex technologies, internet AI, and on, and that takes a way higher IQ than digging potatoes out of the ground or picking berries to survive. Heck, it's more than even just back in the 60s before we got rid of all the simple manufacturing jobs that a man used to be able to buy a house with. And don't forget how we've been watching men get completely nerfed by society and the way we raise them either. Put that together, and we're now seeing average men begin to fall below the minimum threshold of capability needed to have normal things like a wife.
Some people like just put yourself out there, just work out, work on yourself, and things will work out. There's this whole crop of people who I think are trying really hard. I don't think they're losers. I don't think they're like pathetic or anything like that. I think there's something about the architecture of how these people are built so that standard advice does not apply to them.
And the trouble is, that scenario simply isn't possible to the men in charge because they grew up in a time of abundance when all you needed was to reach out and grab your slice of that abundance. And sure, it took hard work, but they could trust they'd be rewarded for it. So the concept that a man could max himself out and still fall far short just doesn't compute to them, because there's no place to fit the data into their mental model of the world.
What do you mean?
You process this however you need to process it. If you want to keep talking it out.
Which one are you dating?
Both.
Are you dating Cece?
I'm dating Cece.
Are you dating Elizabeth?
Yes.
How do you do that?
They made me choose.
You have to choose. You can't have both women.
What was I supposed to do?
What, you think you can have a bunch of wives? You got one wife! This is the way the world works!
Why?
I don't know.
To really see what's happening, their worldview would have to change at a fundamental level. And in most cases, that's a bit too much to ask for, especially because of our second roadblock. This is where things start to get a little more emotional.
Welcome back to In His Mind. So if you're like me, the two questions that you struggle with, and any variation of them, is why am I single and what am I doing wrong? There is no easy explanation for this, and frankly, I've worked on this since 2017, give or take, when I started understanding and realizing things and putting pieces together. You know, this is way beyond my control, no matter what I've done and no matter how hard I tried working on this. And the older men who I've talked to, a lot of them seem to either like nod and disregard or nod and nod their heads and accept and like understand parts of this, but they couldn't really give me advice or thoughts on any of this stuff. And I say any of this stuff as in regards to my questions and some of the content that other men have brought up over the years, as far as like in regards to the nature of women, the nature of things in today's world. Especially if you have your heart and your mind set on something like marriage, which I want to say I now know more, and what I now know more now, it's heartbreaking. Not because it's impossible, but because I think the first stage is basically love and friendship, but once you get past that into like the later stages, the middle stages, I should say, not the later stages, it becomes more about finances and stability and affordability. I think there's an added factor of the country, the state that the country that you're in is, and how that impacts all of us. Mostly because it's from a financial standpoint, but there's also the technological one too. AI, social media, online dating, and it's very hard to meet up with others in real life. So I think a lot of stuff I think it's here to stay, and I think it's just going to get worse. Honestly, there's other people who do the data on this, and they can back this up or outright negate it, I guess, for lack of a better word. In short, Healthy Gamer GG, I'll link his profile, his YouTube profile down below, because I don't think Effective Purpose did that. And he's pretty spot on with a lot of what he said. I would have to say they're both right in this particular case because of what I went through and what I've looked up and what I've found, what I've discovered. And there's a lot of pain there. Because if the marriage is not based on, like, you know, if relationships aren't based on love and friendship, they're going to be based on something else entirely. It is what it is. I want to say there is a matter of necessity a part of this, not just feelings and emotions too. Like that, there's definitely a place for that too. But in regards to the health of the family and the relationship, that also matters too. When I say health, I mean financial, and not just yeah. I'm repeating what I said before. Yeah. Anyway, there is another point too that is more personal that I have to just simply touch upon because it hits everyone a different way. How you live your life, how you react and respond to these particular questions are going to determine a lot. So just because I can list and say what I did and what worked for me may not actually impact you the same way. This isn't a bad thing, but it is important because everything could be different. Theoretically, anyway. In short, I will link the video to Effective Purpose that I was watching and paused, and I had to go talk about, so you can check it out down below. It's pretty spot on. It's absolutely frustrating to try to talk to other older men and try to figure out what all is different, what all has changed, and be stonewalled. Not necessarily because they're trying to stonewall, but because they don't know, they don't understand, and their whole perception is different in regards to the problem, what the problem is. And the problem may not even be you. Sure, okay, you may procrastinate, you may not take advantage of what's passing you on by, you may not respond to the situations that you know your friends would respond to in the same way. Sure, okay, whatever, that's fine. But just know, not everything is about you, and not everything involves you as far as like you're the problem and you need to have the answers and all that. I think some of this stuff is actually by design now. You know, it's allowed to happen for reasons. I speculate upon that, but I think this is part, I know I covered this before, but I think a part of this is in regards to allowing opportunities for your faith to grow, rather than just to simply stress over the lack of control that you have over your own situation. You have a lot of strengths, you have a lot of abilities that you can put into play to try to make things be the best that they can be, but ultimately, if you trust God, you can go to Him and say, I did the best that you can. I did the best that I can, Please meet me halfway in the middle here. Please help out. And everything that you do when you go before God, humility, asking for help, asking for support. Oh yeah. That's about it. I don't know what else there is to say. Just love to hear your thoughts and comments on this. This is a difficult topic, and it will always be difficult because I think it will always get worse as time goes on. Actually, there's one more thing I've noticed too. I think with the rise of social media, AI, and the internet and all this, I think things are going to be picking up speed because everything is becoming so much more connected and spontaneous type. Like, things are not going to be slowing down ever unless you unplug and you purposely get away from it all. I've noticed that. I don't think that's a good thing. All right, until next time.